You don't have to believe the pictures. You don't have to believe the words coming out of my mouth, nor do you have to believe the scientific, clinical data. What you can do is you can purchase the bottle and you can use it for yourself. See the results on yourself. And if you use it for 30 days and you're like, you know what, I'm not a fan, my wrinkles are gone, my skin looks brighter, I've got a glow going on, but this just ain't for me. No. You have up to 30 days to send that product back to our corporate office, no questions asked, and they will refund your money. Jeff Olson says if you don't want the product, you don't want your money. So there's absolutely no loss to us providing our product to the marketplace. And as I said, 30-day money-back guarantee, you can get the product for as low as $80. And on top of it, we give you an opportunity to get your product for free. How many people are aware of how Groupon works, or maybe Living Social? By a raise of hands. Okay, there you go. All right, you can actually go, sometimes I wonder if anybody's listening. You can actually get your product for free, and it works the same way as a Groupon. So if I go to Claudia, and she goes on Groupon, and she buys, I don't know, a 2-day excursion to go whale watching, okay? And she recommends 3 of her friends, and they decide to buy the same excursion. Claudia is now going to get her product for free. It works the same way here with Nearing International. You become a preferred customer in some way, shape, or form. You find 3 customers, whether they compliment you at work, or maybe you just brought it up at a dinner table conversation with family. Somehow you find 3 people. 3 people that say, hey, not interested in your opportunity, I see the value in the product. They say, hey, I'm ready to become a preferred customer. You refer 3 new preferred customers, your next month auto ship is completely for free. Once again, you can have access to our amazing product and not pay anything other than $6 or $9 shipping, whatever it is, and you can use our product ongoing. Now, what I want to do, for some reason it's not going in the order I want it to, but the next portion of our presentation is where we talk about the opportunity. Now, how many of our guests came out tonight because they heard there's some money to be made with Nearing International? All right, good. So there's some guests out here. Now, let's talk about the industry as a whole. The industry as a whole is an $80 billion industry in the U.S. alone, and based off of historical data and what experts predict, it's scheduled to grow at $1 billion a month. There's 2 things I want to talk about here. One is that if you position yourself within an industry that's an $80 billion industry, how many people would admit that that's somewhat of a self-evident industry to be a part of? All right, we got to start. We got to try this whole thing again. I am a very outgoing, expressive. I talk with hands. So when I want something, all right. Okay, there you go. People are waiting. So that's number one. Number one, I knew that I could position myself in an $80 billion industry, which meant that there was a lot of momentum taking place in it. But the fact that it's growing at $1 billion a month told me that there's still an opportunity. Once again, this is corporate America. I used to do corporate strategy. I used to analyze acquisitions. My last deal that I went through was a $68 million transaction with Cox Communications, okay? So this is when my corporate strategy hat came on, and I looked and said, okay, it's an $80 billion industry, and if I just stepped into it, it's going to grow at $1 billion a month. So that's how I knew that there's a big opportunity for me to capitalize on something that's already taking place. The next thing is that 9 out of the top 10 billion-dollar companies within relationship marketing are in the beauty segment of the world. But what's great is Nearing International has positioned itself within the highest selling category within beauty, which is anti-aging. Now you may be asking yourself, why do people position themselves in relationship marketing? What we have found is there's 4 main things, and I call these my light bulb moments. So number one, the benefits of being within our industry is that there's a low startup cost. Now, a quick analogy, when I was with my former company, if I wanted to replicate what the CEO of my company was doing, I would have to go and take $400,000 to $450,000 and invest it and work my tail off and pray for a return on my investment, because that's what the CEO of my former company is doing to this day. So the fact that we can position ourselves with a company that's in the right industry at the right time at a low startup cost was what I call my light bulb number 1 moment. The second light bulb was that there's unlimited earnings potential, meaning that I didn't have a boss on top of me telling me, hey, this is how much you can earn. Some of you may be hairstylists in the room, some of you may be a small business owner, some of you may be, an employee on a salary. It didn't matter whether I was working 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. My salary never changed. Here, the more effort I put in, I could actually be potentially earning more income, which is what, as I mentioned earlier, my second light bulb moment. The third thing is no boss, my favorite part, and no employees. You know, I had to manage an office with over 50 people in it, and I just got honestly sick of all the drama. I had girls yelling back and forth across the office. I had people, actually, funny story. I used to have two girls that sat right next to each other or across from each other. One would start G-chatting me one day saying, oh my gosh, she's so annoying, yeah, 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 yeah. 10 seconds later, the next girl starts doing the same thing about her. I was so over it. I was over the whole boss, I was over the whole employees thing, so that's what I call my light bulb number 3 moment. But the fourth, definitely not the least, is that you get the same amazing tax benefits of being a traditional business owner. Meaning for those of you that came here with a family or a personal phone tonight, now it's your business phone. For those of you that came here maybe in a family car, it's now your personal, or I should say, your business car. And there's more laws that are written in advantage of the small business owner. Meaning that if you go on a travel, if you go somewhere traveling, or let's say you take a client out to dinner, or you're treating somebody to an entertainment. Those are all write-offs that you can write. And on average, the IRS has stated anybody that's a W-2 employee and has a 1099 attached to it, their average saving across for the entire U.S. was $8,000 last year alone. Which tells you, number one, the tax laws are written in the favor of the small business owner. So that's the advantages and the benefits of being within our industry. Let's talk a little bit about the right leadership and the company as a whole. Jeff Olson, our founder and CEO, is a legend. He's an icon in the industry. The best way for me to give an example of who he is, just take the Michael Jordan of basketball, the Kobe Bryant, and Shaquille O'Neal in their professional realm, shove them all into one person, and that's who Jeff Olson is for our industry. He's been a top distributor. He's been one of the most well-known CEOs and founders. In addition to that, he's also been the author of the best-selling book, The Slight Edge. But here's an individual that, as I mentioned in the opening of this whole presentation, he's taken 4 companies to over $1 billion a year. This is what I consider his grand slam. He's brought in his wife, he's brought in his daughter, and he's brought in one of the most well-known and advanced executive management teams that I've ever heard of. Now, let's talk about that management team for a second. They have a combined experience of over 150 years combined. And Jeff Olson could have honestly gone out there and he could have partnered with anybody. Really, he could have. But he made a decision to partner up with Dennis Windsor, who's our now president and co-founder. This individual has consulted and been an advisor for over 200 companies within our industry on how to build a lucrative compensation plan. And when these two guys came together, they said, let's go out there and build the best management team we can find. They went to one of their competitors, which is what I did when I was in corporate America. They went to one of their competitors and they said, Trevor Schofield, you're with your publicly, New York Stock Exchange publicly traded company, and you've been there for 18 years. We want you to come work for us internally because you're the best at taking companies international. And our goal as Near International is to go across seas. Then they said, hey, Connie Summit, you're an executive, you're a chief officer at your company, you're the best when it comes to events and promotion. Let's bring you internal and have you work for Miriam International. Then he said, hey, Nancy Higdon, you're the best when it comes to putting together infrastructure and putting together brand partner support. Let's bring you internal and have you work for us. He went out there and cherry-picked the best people that he can find for every single department that he needed within our corporate office. And as I mentioned earlier, that's over a combined experience of 150 years. On top of that, outside of the management side of everything, our company is the youngest company to ever be featured on the cover of Success from Home magazine. Does anybody actually have a copy of it? I should start carrying my own copy, huh? I can get a copy if anybody doesn't mind. But in addition to that, we were also featured on the cover of Direct Selling News. And for anybody that hasn't heard of Success from Home magazine, this is actually one of the most well-publicized publications when it comes to relationship marketing. The former company that I was with was a 40-year-old publicly traded company, and it wasn't until it was like maybe every couple of years that we were featured in this magazine, let alone to be covered on the or to be featured on the cover. And I always like sharing one little paragraph that the editor had written herself before the release of this magazine. And what she had to write was saying, when selecting companies, we look at their reputation and longevity. So it isn't often that we feature startups and success from home. In fact, we've never featured a company that is young as the one, hold on, rewind. In fact, We've never featured a company that is as young as the one that graces the cover this month. At press time, Miriam International is only 5 months old, what some would call a startup, but the unique blend of experience and research backing this company makes it seem far more established. So talk about credibility, and Miriam, you all deserve to give yourselves a round of applause for that. We've had nothing but record sales and record growth within the first 6 months of us being in business. Matter of fact, our 3rd month we did a little over $3 million. Our 6th month we did over $7 million in revenue. Last month, the company did over $11 million in sales. That's just absolutely amazing. For just 1 year of being in business. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, well, how do I position myself as a brand partner with Miriam International? As I mentioned earlier, this isn't a W-2 position. We're not looking to hire employees. More so, we're looking for business-minded people that are fine with making a minimal investment to position themselves as a brand partner with Miriam. Now, there's 2 ways to get yourself started. One is with the Premier Success Pack, which requires an investment of $9.99. And then there's the Success Pack that requires an investment of $4.99. Now, there's one difference, and there's one amazing similarity. Now, the similarity for both is that both packs are going to come with what we call our Brand Partner Launch Kit. What's the Brand Partner Launch Kit? The Brand Partner Launch Kit includes everything that you're going to need in order to launch your business. It's going to provide you all the marketing materials. It's going to provide you all the training materials on how to go out there and distribute our product and build a lucrative organization. But in addition to that, it's also going to have all that self-help and personal development material that you'll need in order to make yourself better. Why is that so important? You're in a relationship marketing company, which means you got to know how to be likable, meaning attractive by other people. Not on the exterior, just be likable. Okay? And you'll get a fully branded website where you can actually send someone to it. They'll see all the information about the company when it comes to the results, the opportunity, as well as the income opportunity portion of it. But that's the same website. They can actually go to the bottom left and they can register to purchase the product. Or they can go to the bottom right and they can sign up to become a brand partner. Everything is electronic, very advanced. We also give you access to an iPhone application, so regardless of where you are in the country, Ursula could be all the way in Wichita, Kansas, which is where I was 2 weeks ago. I don't know why, but we've got some business going. And she could be out there without her computer, without her iPad, and she could be over there with her iPhone, and she could log into her iPhone application. She can see how much her commissions were. A lot of smiles in here because everybody got paid today. But in addition to that, she'll see what her business is doing, how many sales were made, how many recruits were brought in. It's just an amazing tool that allows us to have access to monitoring our business without needing to be at home or in front of a computer of any sort. But on top of all of that, you're going to get access to these same exact slides. It's printed in a flip book. You'll get a copy of Jeff Olson's book, the best-selling book, The Slide Edge, and you'll get trained. As I mentioned, you're just going to get a business in a box. Everything you're going to need. But in addition to that, you don't have to handle billing. You don't have to handle customer support. You don't have to handle complaints, questions. You don't have to handle shipping. It's all done by our corporate office. It's just a matter of you taking advantage of the material that's provided to you to distribute and build your business. Now, the one difference is the amount of product that you get. The Premier Success Pack comes with 12 bottles of our Miriam AD product, and then the Success Pack comes with 5. Why is it so important to have product? Well, the reason that we've built our business so large, the reason why we have a business that's doing close to $3 million a month in sales is because of the product and what we call our product prospecting system. The simplest way that we've been able to build it is we take a bottle and we go to Wesley and we say, Wesley, here's a product I just got started with and I want you to test it out and then I want to see what your results are after 5 to 7 days. The Premier Pack comes with enough product for you to have over 80 people sample it. The Success Pack comes with enough product for about 20 people. So it's just a matter of how quickly do you want to grow your business. The same thing that I told my mother is what I'll share with you. When my mom came to me and she said, Puya, which should I get started with? Does it make a difference? And I told my mom this, Mom, if you can financially afford the Premier Success Pack, I recommend the Premier Success Pack. You need the product. I promise you, you will go out of it very quickly. However, Mom, if you can't afford it, if you're a little bit on a budget, it's completely fine. You can still go out there and have just as much, if not more success with the $4.99 kit. It's just a matter of you being on top of it and making sure those bottles rotate. So that's how you can position yourself. Now, some of you may be asking, well, do I have to keep